Following up on a previous discussion when I said, preppers, what are you going to do when they come for you? Another interesting question that's associated with that, what are you going to do when they come for your neighbor? Where will you stand ultimately if it comes down to that? What are you going to do when they come for the guy next door, the person who lives across the street or down the street, or in the apartment on the other floor? Where will you stand then? Because people, they talk a good game most of the time, but when push comes to shove, they're not there to get pushed. They're gone. They're hidden somewhere, or they button up. They got nothing to say. And for some reason, most people, they have a problem with the idea of unity. You know that the guy across the street's being persecuted and there's a SWAT team out in front of his house. Are you going to get on the phone and then 100 people show up and say, what's going on, and put yourself in between that? Or are you going to peek through the shades until everybody's gone and hope you're not next? It's an important question because it could come down to that, and it does happen. And we're seeing it happen in real time in a lot of places. Australia is a great example of that right now, something I'm going to talk about a little bit more extensively at some point here. They've turned into a dystopian nightmare practically overnight. I've been to Australia. I was in Australia in the 80s, and there were some tough, rugged people there. Where are they now? Well, they peeked through the shades. They didn't want to get involved, and now it's too late. Pretty much, or it's damn near close. It doesn't take much to get to that point. And where will you stand? We've seen a few small examples of resisting en masse, of people pulling together, coming together. The Bundy Ranch is probably the most obvious example of that. BLM was harassing a rancher. People started flooding in. A lot of them were ready to take action. The BLM backed down. Still kind of ended badly. But if you are willing to demonstrate force or unity, a lot of times they're willing to back down. And I put up a meme on this channel about bees. People aren't afraid of a single bee, but when there's a swarm of them, you want to get the hell out of there, because the bees understand unity. They understand it better than we do, because people coming together like that, it's rare. It's very rare. They seldom are willing to stand shoulder to shoulder and be counted when the time comes. And I know somebody's going to complain that the Bundy Ranch isn't the best example, but it's an example. You understand what I'm talking about? I think that's an important question to ask, and it's something that you probably want to ask yourselves now. Something you want to think about well in advance, because you really don't know how you're going to act. You don't know how you're going to act, I say it often, until you're in the shit. When it does come down, because you can sit there and say, oh yeah, man, balls to the wall, I'm going to be there, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and then something goes down and you're like, ugh, I'm not so sure. People do that, and I understand that. I understand, because you got to decide what's the best course of action in the moment. But now is the time to start thinking about it. So I don't know. I like to put out these like food for thought snippets just to get people thinking. It's the least I can ask, and it's the least you can do, is to just think about it. Just think about it now while you still can, before we end up in Orwell's 1984 and you're not allowed to even do that. The scene in the cafeteria always comes to mind. They're so afraid to even criticize the food. When the guy is like, I think it's chunks of ham, it's probably not even ham. Not that there's anything wrong with that, because he's afraid that someone's going to rat on him. And indeed, you did see him rounded up at the end of the film. His own son turned him in. So before we get to that point, because they are trying to silence us everywhere, all of the social media is trying to silence us. There are things I can't even talk about anymore. I've been had videos pulled, I've been suspended, I've been threatened by ScrewTube for medical misinformation. as they put it, if I even say certain phrases, and not even talking about what they think I'm talking about, but the AI doesn't know the difference. We're getting to that point, and people need to start pushing back, and people need to stick together, and that's why I talk about these things. So I think it's a fair question. When they come for your neighbor, when they come for your neighbor, where do you think you're going to stand? Any thoughts? Feel free to post it in the comment section down below. Give the video a thumbs up if you get where I'm coming from. Share it if you can. Subscribe if you knew all that good stuff. And what more can I say but stay frosty, folks, and thanks for watching.